Hey, what's up guys? My name is Konrad, I'm a musician and a producer, and today with Aurora DSP we will be showing you how to build an original metal guitar mix with the new plugin Mr Hector Suite. Make sure to stick around to the end, because at the end you're gonna be able to get the presets that I've used in this mix. Before we get into the actual breakdown of the mix, this is how it sounds. If you guys like how it sounds and you want to see the actual technical breakdown of it, let's get into the DAW. So the first thing we're going to focus on is the actual foundation of the mix, which are the drums and the bass. So for the drum library we're using Perfect Drums by Naughty Seal Audio. We're not doing too much with it. I am sending out everything to separate channels. For the kick, I am using a distressor clone with basic attack emphasizing settings. I am clipping the kick just a tiny little bit to be able to control it better in the mix, and I'm rolling out some of the very top end because I personally don't like the kick to be too bright. For the snare drum, I am sending out the direct signal out of the snare drum, saturating the guy a little bit at the very top end with Southern, using Supercharger GT to emphasize the slap and like shape the snare drum just a little bit, clipping it just a little bit, and boosting just a little bit of low end. Perfect Drums are very mix ready, so that helps. Not doing anything to the rooms of the library because they sound processed already. And I am compressing the overheads just a little bit with OTT. EQing it like this, rolling out some of the harsh mid-range and using some spectral taming of the resonances just a tiny little bit with the SEQ. The shells are processed in parallel with Supercharger like this, saturated a little bit, compressed, smashed, no transients. I am mixing 28% of that signal, and I am using a reverb on the snare drum, which is the super plate by Soundtoys. For the bass, I've actually recorded real bass and pitched it down from drop C. The raw DI sounds like this. Obviously using Mammoth, my favorite bass plugin. And I'm using Pro Q to shape it a little bit. I am sidechaining the low end to be dipped down with every kick hit. So it sounds like this. In my opinion, it makes everything lock in just a little bit better. So, the meat and potatoes of this video, which is the actual guitar processing. Let's start with the rhythm guitars. We're using the Mr Hector Suite. And here's what we're doing. Master at noon, EQ dipping just a little bit of mids, boosting some bass, not too much, treble also boosting just a little bit, not too much gain. I'm boosting the signal with this drive using the DS412 cab. The secondary cab is turned off, sounds like this. Yeah, it sounds nice raw. It doesn't sound like a generic gent tone, it sounds kind of thrashy. A little bit of the special sauce, the Speaker X processing, which simulates some of the behaviors of the speaker. Just a tiny amount to make it more realistic. A little bit of EQ, boosting some top end, taming some harsh frequencies. Also, in case you guys are curious, on one of the rhythm pairs I have an octaver mixed in. And on the other pair that comes in later on, it's turned off. But it's nothing fancy. Apart from that, I have added a lead line. For that I'm using the Beast Head with these settings, so a little bit of bass boosted, a little bit of treble boosted, volume at noon, gain at noon. Nothing too much, it sounded right from the get-go pretty much when I turn the drive channel. Boosting it just a little bit so it's a little bit tighter. This is the EQ I've used. I've cut out the 5.5 kilohertz frequency, that really buzzy sound, and boosted some high-end, cut some harsh mid-range and some lower mid-range so that it sounds a little bit more scooped. And that's the delay and reverb settings I've used. Also a little bit of chorus so it sounds a little bit wider. I kind of wanted that Dimebag lead tone. It didn't really make it sound like this, but it's kind of got the same vibe. So for the clean tones, I am using some OTT with some basic settings to compress it a little bit. And for the actual amp, I'm using this pedal just a little bit to boost like the high end, to make it a little bit more sparkly. These are the settings of the actual Beast amp. I'm using the clean channel. Yeah, again, I'm using the character knob to make it a little bit more sparkly. Very little gain, some bass boosted but not too much, and some volume boost. This cab this time, just the CV412 with a 47 style mic, pretty much bang on at the cone. The similar EQ, because I found personally that the harsh frequencies were similar in most of the cabs, and some spatial processing like this. So a little bit of chorus mixed in, some delay on the stereo setting, as you can see on the half note triplets, and some reverb, pretty long reverb. A lot of size of the room, mixed only at 41%. So, if you guys are curious about the boss processing, it's similar as in my previous mixes. So I'm knocking down the snare drum just a tiny little bit, compressing the mix with an SSL style compressor, using a little bit of clipping with the JST maximizer. One quick tip that could be useful if you guys are using a lot of boss processing and you find that your cymbals are hard to EQ and they don't sit well in your mix, they don't create this layer of high end, and instead of poking out in a weird way, and they're, you know, when you EQ them in solo they sound cool, but then you throw them into the mix and they suddenly don't fit at all. Try routing them out of your compression bus, so the whole mix, the guitars, drums, goes into the compression bus, but for example the cymbals are routed externally, so they're not affected by the bus compression at all. I personally found that it helps me a lot with fitting them into the mix. And on the master bus, basic settings, basic processing, knocking down the low end with low control, some goal fuzz, to make stuff just a little bit better, you know, a little bit of magic. Inflator for volume, and T-Rex 1 for that final limiting. And that way we have a pretty loud mix with decent dynamics. So, if you guys like the guitar tones that I've used in this mix, make sure to check out my presets and check them out with your own productions. If this video inspired you, check out the Mr. Hector Suite. You can grab a free trial from Aurora's website. It's a really great plugin. If there are any specific videos, any specific topics you wanna learn about, comment them down below. I might make a video on them. For now, that's it. Thank you for watching the video, guys. See you next time. Peace.